every day and night.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Constitutionalist Podcast. I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard. That's Leonard. It looks French. It's not. It's Leonard without an O. Thank you for tuning in. As Graham Norton used to say on his show, let's get on with the show! Joining me today is DHMorris, although on her book it's DHMorris, so DHMorris will be what I ultimately put on the scroll at the bottom of the screen in post for the video behind the scenes version. That's DEBORAH, not DEBRA, DEBORAH, Morris, like the cat, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, that makes that part easy, but more important to remember, D.H. Morris. Welcome to the show, D.H.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I'm so delighted to be here.
What MLB team do you play for as a designated hitter? Ba-dum-bum. DH, designated hitter, baseball?
Not sure.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, my audience knows I can't pass the lame puns. Anyway, I'm excited for you to be here because my audience pretty much most knows I have a historical fiction book. I'm wearing the shirt for Terror Strikes coming soon to a city near you. It's historical fiction, or AKA, as I call it, faction, part fact, part fiction. And you are a historical fiction author. So I'm excited to have a conversation about that with you. Welcome again to the show.
Thank you.
So before we get into the book kind of stuff, and people on video could see my latest book, short 30-second trailer playing behind me. I'm getting fancier these days. I'm running video off my green screen now. At any rate, nitty gritty, where were you born and raised? Where are you now? Significant places you've been in between. How much time have you spent in prison and for what? For the record, for the transcript, she's laughing. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. Go on. Got to clear it out for the transcript, though.
I was born in San Diego, California, and I was raised mainly in California, but moved to Japan. My husband was in the military. And so we lived for 12 years in Europe. I lived in Egypt for 6 months. I've traveled a lot throughout Europe and Mexico. Lived in Canada for a little while, not long, maybe 6 months.
What part of Canada were you in?
In Alberta.
Alberta, okay. I used to vacation up native son, R.I.P. Gordon Lightfoot, Aurelia, Ontario, Canada area. I used to vacation all the time. So, but go on.
And I met my husband as a student at Utah State University, and that was my alma mater. And graduated in theater and music. And went on from there on for a master's in English, and then switched to law school. But during law school, became very ill, so I was not able to complete my last year of law school. But the training was great, and I've taught. As a grad student, I taught in the English department at Utah State University, and then I taught for 5 years in English in their business department. So business English, business writing, business grammar, and business law. at Salt Lake Community College and have 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and a little Yorkie. And so
a fur baby,
a
yeah.
Yorkie named Max. And he's basically runs our household here in Kansas City, Missouri. So we've actually lived on both coasts. We've lived also in Texas. We've because of the military lifestyle, we moved around a lot. And it was very interesting life. Enjoyed it a lot, but we are firmly planted right now in the middle of the country, and we love it here.
In the state of Missouri. Missouri.
Yes. Yeah. I've said that before.
Yeah.
When it gets too cold or too hot.
I say that all the time, yeah. And you said business several times, and now you're here to give me the business, right? Again, my audience knows any lame pen, no matter how lame it is, I cannot pass on the chance. At any rate, I've seen you already hold up the book. Let's hold up the book again for the benefit of behind the scenes video, but for audio and benefit of the transcript, it is the Girl of Many Crowns. There's a "the" in front of it. Again, DHMorris, like the cat. So what is the historical part of the historical fiction in this?
Okay, I would say that it's 90% fact and just filling in the gaps with narrative. So
it's like a movie on the screen, based on a true story, but hey, dramatization to make it flow better and fill in some potential holes with it kind of probably went this way, but it's not close to it type thing.
Exactly. The story behind this book is that when my husband and I got married, my aunt gave us a huge genealogy chart because she was the family genealogist. And she said, we have royalty in our background if you go back far enough. So I looked at that and it didn't look right on the chart. And I thought, I need to fix this. So I got into genealogy, thoroughly enjoyed it. And the more I delved into trying to fix what I thought was an error, just became a more and more intriguing story. And it kind of was in the back of my mind for decades. And then when it came to COVID, like probably a lot of other people, my husband said, you have all this research still on this book. So I did a lot more research, finished the research, and I thought, I'm going to write this up as a biography. But then it was very long, very cumbersome. And I thought, if anybody's going to read this, it's got to flow like a novel. But for me, the important thing, because it is an ancestor, I wanted every single detail to be as exact and real as possible.
Yeah. Well, you read my mind. You anticipated where I was going next. Indeed, writing it as a historical fiction novel as opposed to a biography. A lot of people think of them like movie documentaries. Oh, boring, put me to sleep, right? Or a memoir. Who the heck is DHMorris? Why do I care about her memoir, right? A historical fiction book provides the tale with the details, but it's much more presentable, much more open isn't the word. People are much more receptive and interested in reading it that way.
Yes.
It was your thinking. It would be my thinking anyway.
And I realized that all these footnotes were just making it read like a textbook. So I went back and removed every single thing that the reader did not absolutely have to know, and tried to make it flow better. It's actually the story of the great granddaughter of Charlemagne. It takes place in the 9th century. And it's not just her, it's her and her family. Her father is the first king of France. He's known by historians as Charles the Bald. He wasn't bald, but that was his name. Given to him by historians several hundred years later, because there were so many Charleses, they had to distinguish between them. And so he, at her age of 12, her father has her married off to the 50-year-old widower who is the King of Wessex, father of Alfred the Great. And he marries her off to him for political reasons. And a year and a half later, he dies. And then he has her marry his son, who is 24, she's 14. And that is part of the gap that I fill in. She is so traumatized by that when he dies a year and a half later, she comes back to France. And when her father says, I'm going to arrange another marriage for you, she's now 16, 17, and she says, no, you're not. I am not going to marry again at your command. And so he imprisons her. That's half of the story. The other half of the story, and these run simultaneously. There is a knight who is the companion of her brother, Louis the Stammerer. And we follow both of these stories until they join. The knight's name is Baldwin Ironarm. He's a very brave and honorable knight. It's very important to him. For both of them, their religion is important, their ethics and morals are important. And we follow him throughout wars and assassination plots in France, while we follow her story in England. And then when she comes back, they reunite and fall in love, and he helps her escape. And then they're on the run from the empire. And it's a pretty exciting story. It ends happy. They are the founders of Bruges, which is one of, I think, the most beautiful city in Belgium, and often considered kind of the founders of Belgium, even though Belgium wasn't really a country till hundreds of years later.
The only thing I know about Bruges is the movie with Colin Farrell, I think it was. That's it. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
No, it's
I'll have to look it up.
Pretty off the wall kind of movie, so I don't know if it represents it well or not. But you mentioned footnotes, and that kind of perked up my ears because weirdly, in my latest book, Complicated, I have a few footnotes because I don't believe in doing everything the traditional way, even though in my life I'm pretty much a traditionalist. But when it comes to publishing, this is the 21st century. If you buy a movie on Blu-ray, you get bonus materials, right? Everything's on the internet. The way I see it, a book should give you bonus materials. So I actually have footnotes, not a ton, in my complicated book, so that people have some online material references as bonus free items they can go to. But I understand what you're saying. Indeed, too many footnotes then start to clutter things up.
It interrupts the flow, but I wanted to have some of that extra material also. What I did was I have an appendix at the end, because this covers 7 years in the foundation of Europe. It's where they are, you have Vikings attacking the country, the infant country of France. It's called Francia at that time. You have the German, King Charles' half-brother, Louis the German, is trying to take his country from him. If he had succeeded in the war that takes place in these 7 years, I guess the French would have been speaking German. But it is a very volatile period of time, and it shows the foundations of Europe and how all these borders are being formed. And it's a fascinating period of time. It's one of the most important periods. It's during the Carolingian Renaissance too. And people think of it as the Dark Ages. But this little jewel of a time during the Carolingian period, which lasted not too long, from the time of Charlemagne down to his probably second great-grandson, maybe 100 years. It was, or maybe a little more than 100 years. It was a time where our handwriting, our writing, our form of writing was created by them. That's when that was created. They were creating beautiful works of art, beautiful buildings. They had very progressive ideas about education. Charlemagne and his grandson, King Charles, they wanted their entire realm to be educated, including the women. And so that kind of disappears later. It all depends on who's the leader as to whether these things take place. But at the end of the book, I got off track, sorry. At the end of the book, I do have an appendix, and what it does is it takes each of the characters and tells you what happened to them ultimately in their life. When they died, how they died, what they went through. Usually it's just like a paragraph or two for each.
It's kind of like also too in movies based on a true story. At the end they'll roll as part of the credits, so and so went on to this and that and the other, so and so is still alive, or so and so died in blah 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 blah. So it sounds like you're writing it clearly ready for movie adaptation.
I've had a number of my readers say, "Oh, I hope somebody picks this up for a movie. It needs to be made into a movie." Maybe that's partly because of my undergraduate theater background. I basically see it in scenes.
That's how I write also, yes.
It just, to me, it's more visual, and then I try to describe what I see.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every life is a story. Some just end too soon. Ryan's life unfolds through words on paper, dreams of youth, love discovered, and the challenges of growing up. He found purpose in love, joy in family, and meaning in every small moment. But even the strongest hearts can break, and sometimes life takes unexpected turns. Through laughter and loss, Ryan leaves behind something greater than memories, a lasting legacy. A short story, A Lasting Legacy, by Joseph M. Leonard. A moving reflection on life, love, and the stories we leave behind. Available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and hardcover editions. By Joseph M. Leonard.
Right, exactly. And like most of my books actually come to me in a dream, so I kind of see it as a movie, then I write it. So
Exactly.
so
That's a very similar process.
yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And before I forget, let's repeat, we're talking with DHMorris, and the book is
The Girl of Many Crowns, because she is the first woman to ever, the first anointed queen of England. She has a crown as the daughter of the first king of France. So she has her crown as a princess. She has a crown as the first anointed queen of England, because nobody had ever anointed by the church any women before. The queen was always just, the king would pronounce her queen. But the church did not take the holy chrism, which is the holy oil, and anoint queens until Judith. And when they did, from that point on, that became a regular part of the ritual, including for Queen Elizabeth. The most recent Queen Elizabeth everything was based on Judith's anointing from that point on.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it's a very interesting.
This is exactly why I love historical fiction. Of where, my terror strikes coming soon to see very, very different kind of historical fiction, of course. But yeah, some fact, some fiction. I love how you could take one of my favorite movies is Beyond the Mask by Burns Family Christian Studios here in Michigan. And that's a historical fiction movie loosely based around our revolution and an attempt to assassinate George Washington. So I love stuff like that. And indeed, I could see this as a movie or a multiple part, maybe hopefully even just a TV movie that could be shown in parts, or even better, probably a mini series. It sounds like it's well set up for.
That's what I think, because I have the book divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is Judith of Francia, her childhood. Well, we start when she's 11. By the time, end that first part when she turns 12 and is married to King Athelwulf, the father of Alfred the Great, and leaves for England. Part 2 all takes place with her in England, Baldwin Ironarm, the powerful knight, his protecting of her brother, and his duty to her father in wars and all kinds of Viking exploits. And then part 3, and that's Judith of Wessex. And she's twice Queen of Wessex, so we get another crown on her. And then Judith of Flanders is the 3rd part. And that's when she comes together with Baldwin Ironarm, who is actually the Count of Flanders, and gives away all of her royalty to become.
As in Flanders Field, that the Poppy poem is based on?
As in the earlier names of the Belgium area, where Belgium is today.
Interesting.
It's a fascinating story, and it would never leave me alone. So finally, I thought, after 25 years or so of saying, oh, I hope somebody writes a story about that. It was, oh, it's COVID and nobody is writing it and I'm getting old, so maybe I better write it.
Well, thank you, DHMorris, for joining. That's great. I'm ecstatic to have another historical fiction author on with me. It's awfully niche as a genre, but to me, they make great stories because of the embedded actual historical relevance, because our education system is so damn poor these days. We don't teach history or civics or even economics now, so we got to get people history somehow.
Another aspect of the book, or that I discovered as I was doing the research, I was a little surprised. I don't know why. I should have anticipated this, I guess, how important their faith was to them. I was amazed. It really was in every aspect of their life.
Yeah.
And,
well, those were definitely tougher times. I mean, we think about all the modern conveniences we have. It's easier to take a whole lot for granted now. Then every day was laborious, I would imagine.
And the church was a huge figure in their lives. The church at that time, the only church their Islam was there. It was a fairly new religion, but the only church there in Europe, Charlemagne decided we are going to be Christian. So if you're a Viking, you're probably a pagan. Or you're a Christian. You're one or the other. So their Christian experience plays a great role through this. Interesting, good and bad, because the king's main advisor, his name is Archbishop Hincmar, who I'd never heard of before.
And it's certainly got to be his name, because that's not a name you'd make up.
No. He was one of the most influential writers of the 9th century. And he was responsible for writing her ceremony and coming up with the whole idea. And you see, it's almost a Game of Thrones type plotting. And then he also, you see that he is influential in trying to force her and Baldwin Ironarm into excommunication, into being captured, and their life is threatened. So it's very interesting. I also love the fact that we have a strong male character, because right now, I think for a long time, women have been
toxic masculinity idiocy. Yes.
There's toxicity in both sexes.
Oh, it's toxic. It's an individual.
There's toxic femininity. There's
yes.
toxic
Martin Luther King Jr., content of character. It's part of the human nature. It's an individual thing. It's not a group or collective thing. Exactly.
And a man's desire to be protective is not toxic, I don't think.
I agree.
I think that is part of what God gave them as part of their nature. And so we have a strong protective knight. We also have a strong protective female who wants to protect her servants from any retribution they might have for helping her escape from the palace. Because we know that she escaped. It says she escaped, history says, as dressed as a servant. How would she do that without help from her own maid? So her maid is one of the few characters who is completely fictional. Almost every other person in there is is factually based. Some of the actual dialogue I was able to find in ancient records.
Whoa.
And I was able to put in there. There is a surprising amount. But if your viewers are looking for a book that gives men a great role model and women a great role model and good moral principles and an inspiring happy ending, why can't we have happy endings? I love it. And,
Yeah.
and true. And it's all true, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's more,
well,
it's amazing.
A lot of this takes part in France. Is the book available? Have you had it translated and published in French?
I have not. I've been considering it, but it does take place kind of part in France, part in England, a little bit in Italy, and a little bit in Germany.
So it's French,
Europe.
Italian, and German. You've got great opportunities to have it translated and sell there.
The birth of Europe, as we know, actually.
Okay, if people want to learn more about you and the book, do you have a website?
They can go to newclassicspublishing.com and read a little bit more about it. But they can also pick up the book on Barnes & Noble or
all the usual
Amazon
suspects.
Or Audible. Yeah, all of the all the usual suspects.
Especially Amazon. The number, there used to be 80% of all books are sold there. I think it's probably closer to 90% of all books are sold through Amazon nowadays, I think. And especially now, Amazon Audible, their virtual voice. So you have an audiobook. Did you hire actors to read the book, or did you use Amazon virtual voice?
I considered it, but I decided to do it myself. I've done a lot of acting in my life. The most difficult part was doing the men's voices, and I can't do a man's voice, but I think I was able to put in the passion and the meaning by reading my own.
Yes, story. That's great. I don't want to read my own books. I think it is great. I think it is better if a book is read by the author rather than somebody else, and certainly better than just Amazon's AI doing it. But at least it's still available that way for people who prefer to hear a book now rather than have to read it. So
I will tell you a funny story about that. Is I originally was going to do the AI because I wasn't familiar with it. And they said, let's record your voice and we will use AI.
Digitize it. Yeah.
And so they couldn't do it. They tried for months. And the problem was one of the main characters, Judith's brother, who later becomes king after the father dies, but that doesn't appear anywhere but in the appendix. Sorry, I shouldn't have mentioned it. But anyway, he's named, historians refer to him as Louis the Stammerer because he had a stammer, and AI could not replicate the stammer.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. AI tries to be too perfect. It can't mimic that. Yeah. Oh, wow. I would have never thought of that. But as a former IT guy, once you say it, it makes perfect sense to me, but I wouldn't have thought about it in that sense. So again, we've had DHMorris, Deborah Morris, DHMorris on the book, which is entitled
The Girl of Many Crowns.
Yep, and to learn more about the book, you could go to newclassicspublishing.com. Thank you, DH, for coming by today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight.
Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.
Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.
Every day and night, believes in freedom and making his voice heard, sharing his message over all the earth. God loves the children, for all you do. Stand strong and God bless you.